Welcome back everyone. The iPhone 13 Pro just came out and the Pro Max also came out. So let's go ahead and do a comparison between this and the iPhone 12 mini, the smallest iPhone that Apple has pushed out last year. Actually, yeah, it's smaller than the iPhone SE 2. And let's see which specific iPhone you should pick up. Now, Apple is still selling both these phones brand new. You can pick up an iPhone 12 mini for $599 and you can pick up an iPhone 13 Pro Max at $1099. I will leave links in the description if you want to pick them up. You can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. Now on the front, obviously there's some massive differences. The iPhone 12 mini has a 5.4 inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. It's a full HD panel, you have True Tone, the notch is there, but it's a smaller phone so it really doesn't feel too bad in the hand. And I definitely do think this is still one of the better feeling phones of last year. You know, it's definitely not perfect, but it's still a good feeling phone. It's kind of too small for me, but some people that's, you know, a pro for sure. With the 13 Pro Max, you have a massive 6.7 inch Super Retina XDR OLED panel. Now this is a 120Hz, you know, a little bit over 1284, 1280p, something higher than that, but you have True Tone on it as well. But this is one of its biggest advantages. The panel is so beautiful. That would also equally be cool, but the 13 Pro Max just, you know, dominates that display. You have a smaller notch up top as well, and that's one of my favorite displays of this year for sure. Maybe the S20 Ultra is a little bit better, or S21 Ultra, but this is a beautiful panel for sure. Both of them have lightning ports at the bottom, and on the back, standard glass back on the iPhone 12 mini, where the 13 Pro Max has that frosted glass back. So again, another massive premium feeling feature for the iPhone 13 Pro Max. Now we have wireless charging and MagSafe capability on the back of these as well. The same type of IP certification for the most part as well, which is really cool. But we also have a little bit of a difference in terms of the camera setup. So the iPhone 12 mini has a dual camera setup, a 12 megapixel wide, then a 12 megapixel ultra wide sensor, with the iPhone 13 Pro Max as a 12 megapixel wide, 12 megapixel telephoto, and a 12 megapixel ultra wide sensor with that LiDAR sensor as well. So you're getting an additional telephoto lens on the iPhone 13 Pro Max, which pretty much means we can zoom in a lot more into a photo, which is really cool. Now on top of that, you have 4K at 60 on the back of both of these, and I will say the camera quality is honestly more similar than not. If I was being completely honest, I would like to think that the 12 mini is worse than the 13 Pro Max, but in real life use, depending on what you're doing with your phone, you're really probably not going to notice that big of a difference. Now on the 13 Pro Max, you're getting much bigger sensors, so that's a big thing to keep in mind, but on top of that, you are also getting this new cinematic mode, which is really cool. It's essentially like portrait mode for video, and I think that's a really awesome thing, and I love seeing that. But the thing that I've kind of been noticing is that between the UIs on both, they're almost the same. So you're really getting almost the same type of experience between the two. And if you're not planning on only using your iPhone 13 Pro Max to do like crazy photography and all those different things, and let's just say you're taking photos of like your family or something like that, you're really not going to notice a big difference between these two. Unless you're going to like make a motion picture and you're trying to get the absolute best quality photo or video, you're really probably not going to notice a big difference. And in my opinion, stemming from like an iPhone XR, you're really not going to be noticing crazy big difference in terms of the image sensors. From all the comparisons and everything that I've done, in my experience, from me just making Snapchats and TikTok videos and things like that, the iPhone XR is more than enough for me. So if you fall in the same ballpark, that's probably where you probably align as well. So both these, I would definitely rather have the 13 Pro Max camera, but the 12 mini's camera is really good. On the front, a little bit of a difference as well. 12 megapixel sensors on the front, 4K at 60 on the front as well. And like I mentioned, if you're making Snapchat videos and front-facing cameras, you know, using that a lot in apps, you're really going to be getting similar, you know, capability between both, to be honest. But the 13 Pro Max is the better one for sure, and I will give it its credit. So in terms of that covers it up here. Now another big thing with both these phones is the software. Now because the iPhone 12 mini is technically a year older, I will play it safe, and I will pretty much say that the iPhone 13 Pro Max will outlast the iPhone 12 mini. It's not a guarantee, but I will probably say that is probably the case. I would love to see the iPhone 12 mini last forever, but you guys know that's not going to happen. So in terms of that, you're going to be getting a longer lasting phone from the iPhone 13 Pro Max, but a big thing to keep in mind is that with the 13 Pro Max, you are pretty much going to be future-proofed for a couple more years, which is cool. But the other thing to keep in mind is that both of these phones will literally be getting the same exact software updates for several years from now. So from this year, next year after that, next year after that, you're going to be continuing to get the same type of software updates on both the same features and everything. And that's a big thing to keep in mind. You're probably going to be getting the same exact thing on both. So it's not really that big of a difference between them if I'm being completely honest. So in terms of that covers it up here. Now another big thing is with the performance. So with the iPhone 12 mini, you have that Apple A14 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 gigabytes of RAM. With the iPhone 13 Pro Max has that Apple A15 Bionic chip inside of it with 6 gigabytes of RAM. And here's the thing with this specific device. You are getting, great performance from both of these phones. Don't just think because the iPhone 12 mini is a smaller one that it can't handle the performance that you have, or that it's too slow, or this or that. Yes, the iPhone 13 Pro Max is the faster one, for sure, but the 12 mini can completely handle everything you need to throw at it. And I use my phone all the time, and an iPhone XR is more than enough, like I mentioned before. The 12 mini, I will never be able to utilize all the power from an iPhone 12 mini. If you're planning on doing super intensive gaming and, all those different things like that, the iPhone 13 Pro Max is probably the better way to go. But the things to keep in mind is that between these, there's no split screen multitasking or anything like that. So the RAM, although it's nice to have more RAM, there hasn't really been a huge reason to have crazy amounts of RAM on iOS because it's still so optimized. So even 4 gigabytes of RAM is perfectly fine for the iPhone 12 mini, or really for any iPhone out there. I think once Apple starts bringing in things like split screen multitasking and different things like that, then it's definitely going to make more sense to pick up something like an iPhone 13 Pro Max with a bigger display, but also with more power and more RAM. But I think when it comes down to both of these, if you're planning on playing heavy intensive games, like super heavy intensive games, both of these phones will be able to handle it for sure. If you're planning on just doing, using random stuff throughout your day, like phones and stuff, like calling people, FaceTimes, different things like that, you're definitely going to be getting similar, performance. I just think, if you're not planning on editing super high intensive photos or videos and you're planning on exporting them and comparing the export speeds and stuff, you're really not going to notice that big of a difference. The performance is so similar that I would not go from a 12 mini to a 13 Pro Max just because of the performance, in my opinion. So in terms of that pretty much covers it up there. And ending it off with the battery life, this is by far the biggest difference between these two phones. Well, it's one of the bigger differences. It's not the biggest difference, I would say sizes. But the iPhone 12 mini had a 2,227 mAh battery. The iPhone 13 Pro Max has a 4,352 mAh battery. So from my experience, you're getting a much bigger battery on the iPhone 13 Pro Max, but you're also getting a massive battery on the 13 Pro Max just in general. I mean, that's a massive size battery. And that is a big thing to keep in mind. The battery life, even though it's a bigger display, it's more powerful, the ProMotion and all that, you are getting a much more powerful machine with a much better battery life on the 13 Pro Max than on the iPhone 12 mini. So that's a huge thing to keep in mind. I love the 13 Pro Max because of that. I think it's one of its biggest assets. The 12 mini, I think it was great and everything, but you're definitely getting a better performing battery from the iPhone 13 Pro Max than on the iPhone 12 mini. So in terms of that covers it up here. And to kind of sum up this video, I will be honest, I think the iPhone 12 mini, it's definitely an interesting device. It's a smaller phone, so if you like that, then go for it. The only problem I have with the iPhone 12 mini is actually the battery life. That's the only thing I've ever really complained about with this specific phone. I think other than the battery life, this is a really good phone. And that's why I think I would recommend going from a 12 mini to a 13 mini just because of the battery life increase. That's a massive difference for sure. With the 13 Pro Max, this is really a perfect phone in so many different ways. It has so much capability. And like I mentioned in other videos, if you have an iPhone 12 mini, I would highly recommend going to a 13 Pro Max. That is a big upgrade. It's not just like a small little thing. That is a massive upgrade for sure. So you're going to be getting a much more powerful machine from a 13 Pro Max than an iPhone 12 mini. So in terms of that pretty much covers it up here. If you guys have any other questions or anything like that, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.